Hey there, fishing fanatics. Happy new day, and welcome back to Fishing 24 Hours, your go-to channel for hardcore fishing tips and stories that make every trip legendary. Ever spent hours with great bait and a perfect spot, but the fish just won't bite? The secret might be missing one key thing: chum to draw fish in. And here's the kicker: you don't need pricey store-bought chum. Just some leftover bread and a bit of yeast can turn any lake into a fish magnet. Today we'll dive into making chum from bread, scraps, and yeast, how to use it right, the best spots, and tricks to get fish swarming your hook. This story takes me back a few months to Lake Sam Rayburn, Texas, a prime fishing spot. I was using top-notch store-bought bait casting all morning, but only hooked a few tiny bluegill, my float barely moving. Frustrated, an old angler nearby grinned and said, "Fish here, don't care for fancy stuff. Grab some stale bread, mix in yeast, let it ferment a couple days, and scatter it." I took his advice, snagged a stale loaf from home, shredded it, mixed in yeast, and let it ferment for 2 days. I scattered the chum near a grassy bank at Sam Rayburn, then dropped my main bait. In under 10 minutes, my float went wild, and I pulled up a 3-pound carp, thrashing like crazy. That day, I bagged a few grass carp too, my bucket heavy, pride sky high. That's when I knew bread and yeast chum is a fish-pulling powerhouse. In this video, we'll explore why bread scraps and yeast chum drive fish crazy, how to make this killer mix the best spots to fish it, and which species can't resist it. I've got 2 real-life US stories to fire you up, plus practical tips, beginner advice, and safety pointers to dominate any fishing hole. These tricks work in ponds, lakes, rivers, and bayous across America, from Sam Rayburn to the Atchafalaya. For species like carp, grass carp, bluegill, and crappie, let's grab a cold soda, get comfy. And let's uncover the bread and yeast chum secrets to make fish swarm your spot. Why does bread and yeast chum work so well? Bread is packed with starches, turning soft and fluffy in water, spreading scent far. Fermented yeast creates a mild sour smell, not too sharp, perfect for carp and bluegill. This combo mimics natural fermented grains in the wild, drawing fish from afar. Double bonus, it uses leftovers, saving money while matching store-bought chum's power. Scatter it right, and this chum turns any water into a fish frenzy. I've tested it on countless trips, and this folk recipe is always a game changer. Making the chum is step 1. Grab stale bread, the drier the better, easy to shred. Use 1 yeast packet or traditional brewing yeast. Get a sealed plastic container and some clean water. Tear bread into crumbs. Toss into the container, sprinkle yeast, mix well, and add just enough water to dampen. Seal tight, ferment 1 to 2 days in a cool spot. When opened, the chum smells mildly sour with a yeasty kick, soft and crumbly, ready to use. Mix in cornmeal or riverbank dirt, form into balls, and scatter around your fishing spot. Drop your main bait, like rice mix or worms, in the center. Carp and grass carp nibbled lightly, so wait for a full float dip or steady pull, then set the hook gently. Use a 6 to 8 pound test line, size 4 to 6 hooks, and a 1/16 to 1/8 ounce sinker. The key is checking the chum's smell. It should be mildly sour, lightly yeasty, not rancid. If it smells harsh, it's spoiled, and fish will steer clear. Ferment just right, no more than 3 days. Mix with cornmeal to hold scent longer. At Sam Rayburn's creeks, bread and yeast chum scattered near grass is a killer for carp and grass carp. Watch the water, bubbles, or fish shadows signal a feeding school. Scatter chum 10 to 15 minutes before dropping your main bait to gather fish. If the float twitches lightly, wait for a full dive to set the hook firmly. The right fishing spot is the second piece. Bread and yeast chum shines in calm lakes like Sam Rayburn, or slow-moving rivers like the Atchafalaya. Arm ponds or channels near homes are ideal, as fish are used to human food scraps. Scatter chum near grass, submerged roots, or the bottom of still pools. Use a 1/16 to 1/8 ounce sinker to keep your main bait in place. In Atchafalaya's banks, grassy edges, or lily pads after rain are hot spots. If no bubbles or fish show, move to a shadier, quieter spot. Fish that love this chum are carp, grass carp, bluegill, and crappie. Carp go nuts for the yeast's sour temps. Bluegill love the bread's crumbly texture. Drop your main bait to the bottom for carp and grass carp, 4 to 8 inches deep. For crappie, cast midwater 0.5 to 1 meter deep. Twitching the rod every 2 to 3 seconds to spread scent. If the float jerks hard, set the hook quick but gentle with a 4 to 6 pound test line. This chum is especially deadly for bluegill when mixed with chopped greens. Timing matters too. Carp and grass carp feed hard early morning, 4:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. or late afternoon. 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. near grass or roots. Bluegill and crappie hit strong at midday or after rain by flooded grass. Cloudy days, post-rain, or light breezes are ideal. Fish lower their guard and swarm the chum. At Sam Rayburn, post-rain is prime time for this chum to draw big fish. If your float's still, wait for peak hours or scatter more chum. To boost success, scatter chum right. Near roots, form chum balls with bread, yeast, and cornmeal and toss lightly. By grass, sprinkle loose chum for bluegill and crappie. Scatter sparingly. Wait 10 to 15 minutes for fish to gather. Look for bubbles or fish. Time to cast. This turns your spot into a fish magnet, upping big catch odds. If no bites in 15 to 20 minutes, shift spots or mix in more cornmeal to hold scent. Here's another story to show this chum's power. On the Atchafalaya River, Louisiana, I fished with buddies, used store-bought chum, but fish barely showed, floats dead still. I scattered my bread and yeast chum near a reed bank. In under 20 minutes, my float danced, and I landed a 2-pound bluegill thrashing wildly. The crew was stunned. Homemade chum works that good. That day, I hooked a few carp too, my bucket heavy, a lesson I'll never forget. To use this chum like a pro, prep smart. Pick dry stale bread, quality yeast, and a sealed container. Mix in cornmeal, dirt, or chopped greens to boost effect. Bring varied main baits, rice mix, worms, or shrimp to test what works. Use size 4 to 6 hooks, strong 6 to 8 pound line, sensitive float, and check for where to avoid breaks. Watch the water, bubbles, ripples, fish to pick chum spots. Scatter chum first, cast bait after, wait for fish to gather. If no bites in 15 to 20 minutes, switch spots or add more yeast to the mix. In calm lakes, scatter chum near grass or roots, 4 to 8 inches from the bottom. In rivers, pick slow current corners. In muddy ponds, drop main bait to the bottom with a 1/16 to 1/8 ounce sinker. After rain, this chum shines, pulling carp and grass carp. Keep experimenting. If fish don't gather, adjust spots or ferment longer. Don't over-chum. Fish get full and skip your hook. Avoid fermenting over 3 days. Rancid smells spook fish. Safety's key. Keep chum dry and sealed to avoid spoilage, especially in hot spots like Sam Rayburn. Avoid slippery banks, especially after rain, to prevent falls. In rivers, wear a life jacket near currents. Keep noise low. Avoid shadows on the water. Bluegill and crappie spook easily. Set a backup light behind you at night to see your path and avoid tripping. Wash hands after forming chum to avoid odd smells. A little caution keeps your trip fun and safe. New to fishing? Bread and yeast chum is a great lesson. Try a pond, scattering chum near grass and dropping rice bait to the bottom for carp. Or fish crappie in a lake, casting midwater at 0.5 to 1 meter with greens in the chum. Note which spots and chum mixes work, like bluegill after rain. Don't sweat a still float. Switch spots or tweak the mix. This chum builds observation and patience, setting you up for big catches. To level up, practice scattering the right amount, casting at the right depth, or adding more yeast for a stronger scent. Spend trips at ponds, lakes, or rivers, picking spots by water signs. Choose dry bread, fragrant yeast. In crowded spots, find a quiet corner to keep fish calm. These details make you a chum-making pro, even with simple ingredients. Bread scraps and yeast chum is an old-school secret few share. Scatter it right, cast on point, and fish swarm your spot. 3 words: cheap, natural, effective. Every perfect chum toss, fish gathering, floats dancing, feels like carrying on the old-timer's legacy. When the float dips slow, heart racing, hands gripping the rod, that's a moment only anglers get. Rookie or pro, this trick will make you king of any fishing hole. That's it, folks. We've cracked the bread and yeast chum secrets, from making it, to picking spots, to avoiding slip-ups. I hope you're pumped to try this recipe. Smash that like, share with your fishing crew, and subscribe to Fishing 24 Hours for more killer tips. Got a chum story to share? Drop it in the comments. I'm all ears. Tight lines, big catches. See you next time.